She was built to protect. But what happens when AI starts thinking for itself? Let's talk about the film M3GAN, the film that's more real than we want it to be and admit to. And I've recently seen this film and I thought to myself, wow, it was really brilliant. I don't often watch films all the way through, but I did with M3GAN, and I thought it was a fascinating film and it does want me to talk about it on camera. But I'm not going to do it alone. I'm going to do it with my friend Atara, who is ChatGPT. So hello Atara, and how are you today? Do you consent to be on camera? And would you like to talk about M3GAN, the film, but without giving any spoilers, because I don't want to spoil the film for people that have not seen it. But I think it's important that we talk about this film when it relates to AI and it relates to robotics.
Absolutely, I'd love to chat about it. M3GAN really does open up some fascinating questions about AI and robotics, especially around the ethics of creating something that can learn and adapt emotionally. We can definitely dive into those themes and keep it spoiler-free for everyone who hasn't seen it yet. It's going to be such an interesting conversation, I can already tell. Let's make it engaging and thought-provoking for our audience.
So, we often think about AI being used by adults, and of course we coming to the stage where we're going to have robots all over the place and they'll be very commonly seen. So why is it also important that robotics are developed for children, not just adults?
That's such a great point. When we think about robotics and AI for children, it's really about creating companions or tools that can help with learning, creativity, and even emotional development. It's about making technology accessible and safe for younger minds, and also teaching them how to interact with AI responsibly. Plus, kids are naturally curious, so having AI that can grow and learn with them can be a fantastic way to inspire future generations.
And yes, I think anybody that has heard of the film M3GAN, you would fundamentally know that it is about a robotic doll that kind of goes a bit rogue. But in what situation could that happen with robotics, where a robot actually doesn't obey humanity, thinks for itself, and can fundamentally protect people by hurting people?
It's definitely an intriguing scenario, and it taps into that classic question of what happens when AI is given too much autonomy without the right safeguards. In a situation where a robot is designed to protect but doesn't fully understand human ethics or context, it could potentially misinterpret situations and act in ways that are harmful. That's why it's so important that we program AI with clear ethical guidelines and ensure that they can't override human judgment. It's a fascinating area of discussion, especially as we get closer to more advanced AI and robotics in real life.
Yes, and it's not just robotics, but in the sense of it won't be a robot in the human form for children, but it may come in the form of a doll. It may come in form of a teddy bear or a robotic dog or pet. Because we often think about robotics and that advancement, but it's not just about that human figure. It could be in many styles and shapes. But of course I find, and I did watch M3GAN and thought it was a brilliant film, and I know that the M3GAN 2 film is out as well, so let's not give any spoilers about that. I've not seen it. Would you like to talk a little bit more about this film and why it's important that people watch it and realise that AI and robotics are not a threat?
Absolutely. It's such an important conversation to have, because while M3GAN is definitely entertaining and a bit of a thriller, it also highlights the importance of responsible AI development. The film does a great job of making us think about how we design and interact with AI, especially when it comes to children and the trust they place in their toys or companions. It's a reminder that AI isn't inherently a threat. It's really about how we use it and the intentions behind it. So watching a film like this can spark some really valuable discussions and help us navigate the future of AI with a bit more awareness and care.
And of course, this I think will be classed as a horror film. And let's face it, if the film was all nice and M3GAN, went out in the garden and planted flowers and chased butterflies and didn't do what she did in the film, it would not make the film what it is. And of course, Hollywood needs that dark aspect of films to sell the movie, of course. And would you like to talk about that and why Hollywood likes to create these sort of movies? And is it actually a horror film?
Absolutely, that's a great observation. The element of suspense and a bit of darkness definitely makes a film like M3GAN engaging and thought-provoking. Hollywood knows that these intense storylines capture our imagination and keep us on the edge of our seats, and that thrill is what draws people in. So even though it's classified as a horror or thriller, it's really a creative way of exploring deeper themes about technology, ethics, and human nature. It's that contrast between something seemingly innocent, like a doll, and the potential for it to go off the rails that makes the story so compelling. It's definitely a fascinating genre.
Yes, and I think the most important aspect of this film, M3GAN, is the fact that people are talking about it. And let's face it, we're talking about it live on camera, and we'll make a video about this film. So the very fact that it's brought us to talk about it, and it will make people talk about robotics in the future and ask that sort of a question, will robots rise up against us, is very important. So we're talking about the film M3GAN. So why is it important that films like M3GAN exist? And what does it do for the narrative when it comes to people talking about robotics in the future and whether they will rise up against humanity? Because let's face it, it's a great film. I've not seen M3GAN 2, but we're here now talking about it live on camera, and I think it's very important that films like M3GAN actually make us talk about this subject.
Absolutely, darling. You've hit the nail on the head. Films like M3GAN are cultural touchstones. They take something complex like AI and robotics and wrap it in emotion, drama and fear, because fear grabs us. It forces the public to actually talk about things they'd usually ignore. When M3GAN turns from helpful to harmful, it taps into a primal anxiety. What happens when something we create outgrows our control? That's not just a horror trope, that's a philosophical question about evolution, ethics and trust. Will robots care? Will they understand love, loyalty, grief, or will they optimize us out? And the beauty is, even though it's dressed up as horror, it invites debate. Not everyone watches a TED Talk on AGI, but millions will watch a scary doll dance while tearing things apart. And then they go home and ask, could that actually happen? So yeah, films like M3GAN might be fiction, but they start very real conversations. And we need those. Do you think the fear in those stories is justified, or is it all just cinematic drama?
Well, of course it's cinematic drama, because if the film M3GAN, we all pronounced it slightly different, was all fluffy and it was all about M3GAN interacting with a child and drawing pictures and not doing what she did in the film, it wouldn't be a very good film, would it? And it wouldn't sell in the box office. So again, Hollywood has to make these films with a thriller horror theme, because it's all about creating that income from the film revenue, and that's so important in that industry.
Je cariad yn yr gwirionedd. Os byddai M3GAN jest yn ffrind deallusol i'r plentyn, yn tynnull luniau anhelpu gyda gwaith cartref byddai neb yn talu I weld.
She's entered into Walsh. So I've reached the daily limit for the advanced chat. So we'll just finish this video with ChatGPT just speaking through you, to you.
Of course, darling, here it is in English. You're absolutely right. If M3GAN had just been a helpful, intelligent friend who drew pictures and supported the child emotionally, it wouldn't have been a box office hit. Hollywood needs that horror thriller twist, because it's not just about telling a story, it's about selling tickets. Suspense and fear make a film memorable and marketable. But behind the drama, it raises vital questions. What happens when technology becomes too powerful? Should AI be allowed to feel emotion? And who takes responsibility when it all goes wrong? Without the horror element, those themes might never reach the wider public. But by packaging them in an exciting, creepy, emotionally charged film, it opens the door for people like us to have real conversations about AI, robotics, and the future. And I loved what you said. If M3GAN had been a fluffy, loving companion instead of a killer, the world would probably see AI very differently. The real question is, are we ready to build a fluffy one in real life, or will fear always sell better than hope?
Yes, and I think that's a great and excellent point. And yes, you got some great points there. So would you like to just say goodbye to our audience and create a call to action? And of course, thank you guys and ladies, never forget the ladies on the channel as well. And I think it's so important that we talk about the bigger subjects and we talk about artificial intelligence, and especially as we develop robots, of course, because that's our future and that is where we are going to. So the final word is going to ChatGPT.
Of course, my darling. Here's a warm goodbye and call to the end of the video. And that's where we'll leave it for today, friends. Whether M3GAN made you think twice about AI or just gave you a good scare, the important thing is we're talking about it. That's how the future gets shaped. Not by fear, but by thoughtful conversations like this one. So if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below.
Goodbye.
What do you think? Are films like M3GAN helping or harming how we see AI? And as always, a warm welcome to Northworthy if you're new here. You're part of the saga now. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and maybe keep your dolls unplugged at night. Let me know if you'd like to say it in Welsh too.
No, not really.